She's an author and a podcaster, and somewhere in between still finds time to be a wife and a mother. April Salazar is with us. April, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to see you. You brought your books in?
I did. My beautiful babies.
Right? These are your other babies.
My other babies.
How many kids do you have? Is it four?
Four kids and 3 stepchildren.
My goodness. That's a crowded house.
It is. We are very, we're moving all the time.
Yeah. What got you started writing?
So, I came from humble circumstances, but I've always had this hunger and drive to do more. Yeah. And I was the first in my family ever to graduate with a college degree from St. Mary's University in English and writing. They've always been my strengths. And obviously, motherhood is another one of my big jobs. So I just married the two and started with children's books because it was suitable at the time for the phase of my life I was in. Mm-hmm. And then I launched my first novel last year. So
Virtually Yours.
Rosalie. Absolutely.
Rosalie. Now, what is that about?
So this novel is where I really got to shine. My protagonist is a tricultural, beautiful, inspiring woman. And she has a lot of internal dialogue that touches on life, love, work, everything that you can think of. But what's special about this story is that I get to celebrate the female strength of emotion. So us being emotional creatures is not our weakness, and it's not us being hysterical. It's actually our strength, and that's what I did in this book.
How does that message get mixed up? Is it just a product of where we've come from in history, society? Where does that message get mixed up?
Absolutely. So this is exactly what is on brand with what I do with my books, with my philanthropy, with my podcasting. I think that for some reason, this idea of women being emotional and us using emotion-based thinking is kind of our downfall, but I really use that as our strength. And I really like to focus in on the fact that we have kind of that sixth sense that men typically do not have. And when we use it as a strength and we apply it to all areas of our life, we actually do much better.
It is interesting. A lot of times we'll talk about emotion and intellect as separate things, mm-hmm. when in reality, how do you even separate the two? It's all within us, isn't it?
It is. I like to say I have this innate fire, this innate emotion backing all of the intellect that I've learned over the years. And so I really like to draw that out in women. Yeah. And I really like to make sure that they understand that they can feel empowered and they can be their beautiful, motivating, emotional selves.
So Rosalie in this book hopefully brings that out.
Absolutely.
Is this what you like to do with your podcast? These kinds of conversations?
So my podcast, Breathe Underwater, is actually focused on bringing inspiration to those who have suffered some kind of trauma or adversity in their lives. And this idea of being handicapped by that, the same, I guess you can kind of look at us being emotional and being handicapped by that. It does tend to translate over, but really on the podcast, we focus on those moments where people knew they were going to be okay post-trauma. So the platform's saturated with all of these trauma stories, and we like to hear them. We like to understand and maybe avoid that. But what we do on Breathe Underwater is we focus on those key areas where you knew you were going to be okay, and you knew you were going to be able to move on from whatever it is you experienced.
So that point of awareness really registers with the audience, you hope at least.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay. How's the feedback been so far?
It's been great, actually. Yeah. We just launched it. We are 3 episodes in. Okay. We have a new episode every Wednesday, and we've gotten a lot of really good feedback.
Yeah. If you look at your Instagram feed, you do a lot in town. I mean, obviously, wife and mother, we sort of went through the resume, but we see you at a lot of events, and you support a lot of different charities, and this town, as you guys know, is just so great with that. Why is it so important to share as much of your life as you can with these organizations?
Absolutely. So, like I said before, I came from a place where I could not give back, let alone have, all of the amenities that a lot of other people did. And my mother worked very hard, and I love her and I'm very thankful to her for that, so that we could have an education, and now ultimately so that we can give back. So for me to be in a position where I am able to and to not, that would go against every single thing that I believe in. So it is important to me. And everybody who does reach out to me knows that it's very hard to get a no. So I do what I can, and I really try to spread as much awareness as I can and raise as much money as I can.
Key word though, education, right? I mean, it seems like it all begins there, and who knows where it can flourish, right?
That is my biggest and most important factor in anything that I do, is making sure that education is a top priority, especially with children and early literacy. I'm a huge advocate for that, and it's where I got my start.
So tell us about your new project. You are writing another book, right?
I am, yes. So my new project is actually a collection of short stories, and it's based on my life. So it's this modernized sense of a memoir where I bring in different experiences and piece them together, and do so in a kind of episodic, serialized way, hint, hint. And that will be called a collection of short stories, A Girl from the South Side.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Where can people get the books? Obviously, the children's books are still for sale, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my children's books, you can find them on aprilmariesalazar.com, and my novel, Virtually Yours, Rosalie, you can find on Amazon.
Okay, and links to the podcast are there
Absolutely, yes.
too. Okay. Any charity events, big things coming up that you want to mention or shout out to the people?
Oh my goodness, everything, yes. So I actually was just announced as the honorary co-chair for the Latin Women's Initiative. So that's a great fashion show that happens every year, 2024. Okay. I am going to be the keynote speaker this weekend for Code Ninja Memorial, and we'll be reading my children's books there. And there's so many other things, but we probably don't have time for that.
That's okay. We wanted to check in and catch up with you, and it's just great to see you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in today and hanging out with us. April Salazar, folks. We'll be right back after.